I'll go ahead and record the little extra juice stuff. But, I feel like a lot of times before, just us in general, like there's so many people that don't understand finances. And
Right.
unfortunately, coming into entrepreneurship and coming into, being a speaker, man, we just do it wrong.
Yeah, especially the financial part. And, what is funny is the financial at home is not the same as financial in business. And I even had to learn that the hard way. So my old show, you've even been a guest on that. I actually had to talk to CPAs and be like, teach me, tell me, what am I doing wrong? How do I fix it? You talk to tax experts and then you kind of get your own system, but we don't have exposure to that. And we can't always pay the money to get the information. So it's like, where do you go? What'd you call it? Uncle Google and
yes, and Auntie YouTube. They tell it all.
Yeah, they tell it all. But sometimes you don't know which questions to ask.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
the problem.
Or I think with this whole big boom with coaching, I think that's another thing is that people went to coaching to find their answers and they still didn't know what questions to ask. So they spent all of this money on coaching.
Right.
And then the end result was, I'm no better off than where I started.
Right. Exactly. That's that. I call it breadcrumbs because I'm very spiritual. God gave me everything I got. He can take it whenever he wants. You know what I mean? So I always say he gives me breadcrumbs no matter what path I'm on. And then I'm supposed to do whatever that instruction is. So the breadcrumb can be, I learned, I met a new person, or a breadcrumb can be, I learned a new skill. But if you don't implement it, if you don't, I'm not going to say use the person, if you don't work with the person for the full amount of time you're supposed to work with them, if you don't get what you're supposed to get out of that, then you can't move forward. You're stuck.
Most definitely. I've seen quite a few get stuck and never be able to move forward. And it's unfortunate because so many people have great ideas and they could be helping so many people, and that one bad experience completely demolished their passion and their hope, for moving forward. And it kind of just either they sat down and didn't move forward, or they went back to the starting line.
Yeah, I'm actually in one of those situations right now on a different business because I'm a serial entrepreneur. And I think when I get done with just this first project, I just decided last year I wanted to start flipping houses. And so in October, I decided. In January, I got my license. In July, I brought my first house. And so much has happened in this time. Where just yesterday my GC quit. And you know what I mean? But today I hired another GC. You see what I'm saying? And so like yesterday I could have quit. I could have got upset. I could have got frustrated. I could have stopped. But today, on happenstance, on accidental stance, I met someone through someone who started their project the same day I started mine, and they're finished. But you don't know what you don't know when you start new. So with every business, I feel like there's a growing pain. And I only say that just to say that there's growing pains in every business. So if you let the first mistake hit you and stop you, then you don't learn anything and you might lose the opportunity for so much more. Like had I let the first mistake, we paid somebody way too much in the beginning to do a job and they didn't finish it and then they quit. That's my fault. That was a learning mistake. You know what I mean? If I had let that stop me right then, I'd have been like, oh, let me wholesale this house. Let me get it off to another investor because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared. I done ruined it. I done lost some money already and I just started. Had I stopped then I would be like, I wouldn't see it to the end. When, and that was 2-3 months ago. When my contractor quit on me yesterday, he's like, well, the project's taking too long. Now I'm finding out the project's taking too long because he didn't know what he was doing, because now I'm talking to somebody else who took one walk around the house, made 3 phone calls, and had me 3 quotes. So I'm like, look at God. I'm like, look at God. Like, look how you just transitioned me. And so sometimes a pitfall is actually just a transition. You know what I mean? It's not for you to stop. It's for you to shift gears. It's for you to let somebody out the car. It's for you to take a break and a breather because you need a second. And people will be like, oh, well, that didn't happen the way I planned it. You know, it's messed up now, so now I'm going to stop. So now a project that might have took me 9 months to finish is probably only going to take me 5 months to finish because I had to shift one person out of the driver's seat and put somebody in there who knew what they was doing.
A little more skilled. You got to think about it. Everybody, people that have a driver's license can drive, but if I put somebody who normally drives in Philadelphia and put them in Atlanta, they gonna have a fit because it's not the same atmosphere.
Right.
They're not used to it.
Exactly. Like just because you're a teenager fresh out of high school and you got your driver's license don't mean you know how to drive better than somebody that's drive 18 wheelers and they go cross country 3 or 4 times a week. Like the skill is just not the same. And so that's what people expect to be high schoolers getting straight out of high school with their driver's license and expecting to have the same results as somebody driving an 18-wheeler across the country. And that's just not going to happen. You need time to learn, not just your habits, but other people's habits. You need time to truly understand the laws and the results of those laws. How can they affect you? You know what I mean? You need time to do your research. And so people don't do that kind of stuff. And then you need to understand the systems. You need to understand this light right here means my oil needs to get changed. That light right there means that I need to check my brake. You know, I need to check my brakes. That light right there, that means I need to check, my tires. So that's the same thing in business. Like you need to understand you do need a business license of some kind. I mean, you ain't a doctor, but you need to be registered in whatever state you started your business in. You do need either a CPA or a really good dedicated business lawyer, attorney type that handles finances, that understand the laws for your state. You do need a separate business account. Come on, people, don't do business in your personal accounts because that money get messed up, and the first time you get audited, you're gonna be like, they're going to be like, I need a receipt. A receipt for what? Oh, no, that was personal. How are they supposed to know that one was personal and that one was business if it's all together? And that's just basic stuff. And that's not even what I teach on. But that's where this conversation
It's interesting, though, because I learned that lesson the hard way. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, that was another reason that I was like, 2020, we're going back to basics. We're going back to, okay,
right.
We scooping all of that foolishness out and we're going back to basics.
Right.
Because we're going and we're connecting with people that are telling us, oh, yeah, just launch this course and do it through PayPal and do it through Cash App and do it all. And I'm like,
yep.
Are you doing a side hustle or are you doing a business?
Right. Exactly.
There's a huge difference. And people don't see the difference. They don't see the difference between entrepreneurship and business. There's a difference. There's a different mindset. There's a different mentality. When I'm in a business, I'm setting a foundation for this to last. Entrepreneurship is only going to work when I'm there.
Right. Exactly. And see, that's one thing. Like before I ever got in the front seat of my car or my business or my entrepreneurship in the beginning, I had the privilege of sitting in the back seat of other people's businesses as a manager and learning their strategies, learning their books. How do you keep your books? How do you, manage the money in and out? How do I account for my employees? Why do I have this many hours worth of employees versus this many hours? This is what I need. This is what I have. Why? And that's like, oh, that's budgeted. All that's budgeted on your projected sales. So if we project you're going to make $500 today, you only need this amount of hours because you only need this amount of servers because their pay can't be more than this $500 we project that you're going to make. We have to have a profit margin in here somewhere. And I think when, especially we as women, we as colored women, not to segregate other women, but we're passionate about family, friends, and helping people. Regardless of, your backstory, it doesn't even matter if you were an orphan. Now you want to help all the orphans. You see what I'm saying? Like, we just have that built into us. And so I started the same way. I tell people all the time, my business started as a personal journey. And my personal journey was me teaching my kids how not to be as loose with their money as I was with mine. I had great jobs making lots of money, and I was one person with no kids. And I can't tell you where half that money went. Like, I have no freaking clue. And only after I had to take care of somebody besides myself did it become a priority for me to find my way into managing my money properly. Only after.
Most definitely. It's the process that we go through. It's unfortunate that we have to always go through that type of process, but it's the process that we go through. So in saying that, where did the shift happen for you from working for somebody else and then wanting to do it for yourself?
So the shift actually came after I had kids, because before I had kids, I had a job, but I've always had sickle cell since I was born, which most people don't know, but I do talk about. So that meant that at the point of having a good job, I was also always sick. So I knew if my job was a high stressful job, which all my jobs where I made good money was high stressful, I would get sick. So that was just my way of life. All right, I'll work for 3 months. I'll be sick for 2 or 3 weeks. And then I'll reset and I'll be better. And then I'll go back to work and I'll work hard. But I knew after I had kids, I wasn't going to be able to do that. And so I was like, I have to be able to make money, but I can't work a regular job. So I got forced into entrepreneurship as a way to provide for my family.
It's interesting because when you have that type of push, it's different.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, when I started, I was working a job. And so that job was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't have to do as much in my business because I had the job. I had an income coming in. I had a paycheck. And it may not have been the best paycheck, but I was looking, the business was, something a little extra. That it felt good. It was a little extra. But when I made that transition, that transition from having a job to actually just working your business full time, and this is how we eat.
Yeah.
Oh, that changed everything.
Oh, yeah. Because then you feel every transaction matters and you feel the weight of it. And after you get really good, like really good in business, and you get your stride and you get comfortable, then it's crazy because then another shift happens. Because all of a sudden, you went from having to eat to feeling that comfortableism again. You feel comfortable, almost like if you had a career. And you get a little comfortable, but you can get stagnated in that comfort. So you have to, I'm a person where if it's not constantly changing towards a new goal, I feel like a failure, even though everybody else looking from the outside in would be like, oh my God, what are you doing? I love what you're doing. You're such a success. And so for me, it's like, I'm only a success if I can help people, but still pay all my bills. It used to be I was a success if I could help people. But now it's like, my kids need to eat. They're 7 now. Like, my kids are going to go to college. I want to be able to pay for college. I don't want to give them stagnant amount of debt because I couldn't afford to help them pay for college. And some parents would be like, well, that's not your responsibility. That's your child's responsibility. Granted, that is going to be part of their responsibility, but I would much rather teach them the skills they need now. And they help me, they put away their little $5 every month or their $2 this month and, maybe 50 cents next month. And in their mind, they're saving for college. I know I'm lifting a heavy weight, but as they get older, they'll feel pride in that. And hopefully when they go to college, they'll have pride in the fact that they're helping pay for it as well.
Talk about shifting the whole dynamic of teaching your child and, putting and instilling those beliefs and values at an early age. Because I had a conversation with someone before, and I was just like, if I would have asked my mother about her finances, I probably would have got popped in the mouth. Like, I would have got that backhand.
Yeah, that good one. That one where you don't even know how to talk for a second. So this is
it's caught in your throat. So
yeah. It is.
Can't cry or nothing. It's just
That's it. That's it. I can't even breathe right now because I'm scared I'm gonna get hit again. Oh my God. Okay. So this is what I tell people too. This is a generational problem that we are trying to resolve and fix now. And we are seeing the results of that problem. So our parents' parents did not talk about money. And our parents' parents, grandparents, probably didn't have money to talk about. Because you don't even see how close we still are to disconnecting from the times of slavery. And I don't want to take it so heavy, but there is that part where they did not have any money. They had what they could get. They had what they worked for, but didn't know how to control, didn't know how to use. Now our grandparents and depending on how maybe a parent above that are the ones that started getting the college educations. They're the ones that started making real money, doctors, lawyers, teachers, whatever. So those ones are the ones that got money and just was like, wow, I'm the highest earner of my family ever, up the tree. So those are our parents or our grandparents, and they got money, but they didn't really understand how to use it as a tool. They used it for survival. And so all they taught their kids was, be a little better than I was. And so now what we hear, our generation, we got everything. We got money, we got technology, we got kids. I call us a sandwich generation because for us, we were still us. I'm knocking at 40. So for 40 and a little bit above and maybe a little below, you were told, you wasn't told about money in your household. Money was still a bad word. It was an adult word. It was a grown-up word. And then our kids or teenagers are a little younger and they're starting to be entitled. Because for us, we have way more money than our parents even have had. And we aren't necessarily teaching them, but we're definitely giving them. We're giving our kids everything under the sun because we didn't get it, because our parents didn't have it. And if they had it, they held on to it for dear life because definitely their parents didn't have it. And so we're not teaching our kids at a young age, if at any age, that money is a tool. And it's just like reading a book. You take that knowledge from reading that book and you apply it. That's what you do with money. Money is not the wealth. Money gives you the choices, and the choices is the wealth. And that's the part people don't understand.
Say that again.
Money is not the wealth. Money is the choices, and the choices is the wealth, because that's really what you want. You want the opportunity to make choices in life, to buy the things you want to buy, to get the things you want to get, to open the doors you want to open. And in your mind, that is really money, but that's not. Money is only the tool that you're using to make that choice.
Mm-hmm. Now that part just shut everything down. We can end the episode. And I'm thanking you all for coming in and listening in. Like, this is crazy. Because when we think about, again, and one of the things that you talked about was, oh my goodness, it's so much. So the fact that they had money, but they didn't have an idea or an understanding of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times we were disconnected because when we think about those who came out of slavery, they started to learn about wealth, but because of different things that happened, Black Wall Street and things of that nature, there was the disconnect. It was literally the severed, it was severed right then. We were in the vine, and we were kind of like starting over.
Mm-hmm.
And not really having that understanding of what is wealth. What is this understanding of what is wealth? And because we are the ones that are sold to by the different companies and brands and businesses, they made us think that wealth was a thing.
Right.
And it was.
And it's not. Right. No. Wealth is just a word that means opportunity to choose. That's what wealth means. That means at any given time, you can choose to take a vacation. You can choose to buy something. You can choose to work hard or not work hard. Because with wealth, that means you have acquired some things or value that you can use to not have to worry about the basics. Once you don't have to worry about the basics anymore, then some of that stress is relieved and you can start focusing on other choices.
Woo, this here episode.
I'm sorry. Did I bring too much? Did I bring too much? I'm sorry. I'll tell the Holy Spirit to die down a little bit,
People will be like, what just happened to my life? What just happened to my shanana? But it's a necessary discussion. I was, talking about it in a live this morning, and I was like, where I was,
mm-hmm.
I was looking at what other people thought my greatness was, what other people thought my success was. Right. And where I am now, I'm like, my daughter sent me a message this morning asking me, could she be homeschooled? For me, that's wealth.
Right.
Because I have the option to say yes.
Right.
I don't know if I have the mental capacity. But I have the option to say yes.
Right.
And I didn't have that option before. I didn't have that opportunity before. And unfortunately, there's a lot of parents that wish that they had that option and they don't.
Don't. Right. Exactly.
And they don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I started teaching my kids about money when they was 1 and 2. And now we have full conversations. And actually, I'm doing a little podcast called Podcast Kids. And it's just me talking to my kids about money and letting other people hear the kind of conversations I have. Because a lot of people are like, that's too young. I don't understand. These kids are smart. And when I say these kids, I'm not just talking about mine. They smart. But these kids can comprehend at 1 and 2. And so I just felt like it was important for people to hear a conversation, to see how easy it is to really teach your kids about money. Because, everybody's like, oh my God, they're not going to listen. You're not going to sit them, you can't sit them down and have these. And I'm like, you're thinking at a level that's an adult level. You're not teaching kids adult topics. You're teaching kids topics, because your child, as soon as they get old enough to say, I want, or me, or buy, or can I have, that has now become a kid's topic. So as soon as we get out of the mindset that this is an adult topic and get into the mindset that this is a kid's topic, you can start teaching your kid that they need to know these things about money. And me and my kids talk about all kind of stuff. And we're getting to that level now where we can have complex conversations, because we had simple conversations when they were 2, 3, and 4, like money goes in the bank. Then I taught them for money goes in the bank, because in their mind, bank was a piggy bank. Then when they were like 3, we went to the real bank. So now they know, what a real bank is. We talk about rent. We talk about creating a legacy, which means I teach them something that they learn and they use, and then they teach their kids the same thing. And so they have an understanding. Now it's a 7-year-old understanding of what a legacy is. It's not me putting the weight of the world on their shoulder, like, you have to do this, your kids have to do this because I did this. That is an adult conversation. So you can cater an adult topic to a child in a way that they can understand. And I call that scaling. You just scale it down till you get to where they understand. And then as they get older, you scale it back up a little bit. Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. It's I think the biggest piece that people need to take away from this episode is stop being scared to have the conversation.
Right.
Stop being scared to have the conversation with your children, with your spouse, and stop being scared to tell people or be honest about where you are financially.
Right.
We have this thing where we trying to live up, we trying to be like the Jeffersons, or we try and live like this person. And no, be honest about where you are. If it's not, the perfect timing, if it's, finances aren't the best, be honest about where you are, because you can never truly move forward if you're not honest about where you currently stand.
Right. Right. But you know what's bad about that honesty is people don't know. They don't know their numbers. They don't know how much all their bills cost at the end of the month. They don't know their credit score. They don't know, how much they truly make at work. Okay, somebody told them they make $40,000 a year. Okay, but how much are you bringing home? That part, they don't know their numbers. When did you last look at a check stub to make sure that they wasn't making a mistake on how much they taking out of your retirement? Do you even have a retirement? Can you get a retirement account? And just because you're an entrepreneur does not mean you cannot get a retirement account. Yes, you can. Mm-hmm. There are banks. There are investment companies. Start little. Start with as little as they'll let you start with. And then build. As your business builds, your retirement builds.
That part.
They can't be honest. They're not honest to themselves.
Man, it's the worst thing. I told I told my children, and I've told my clients this, because when you come from a job to working for yourself full time, there's a shift that needs to happen, and it normally takes about 6 months to a year for you to really have that shift fully come, and cycle all the way through to where you're like, okay, I got to be able to do the same level, if not higher, for my business than what I did for that company. But when it's that time where we're about to shift from outside of the job, things start to happen. And I've told many, many clients this, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm sure some things will change. And then I get the message, coach.
Right.
Coach. The way that they treat me has changed. The way they talk to me has changed because I'm leaving. I'm like, it's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it's different. Yeah. They were all gung-ho and supporting you when you first said you wrote a book, or you had that first product that you brought in was showing everybody. But when you really realize that they're about to lose somebody, oh yeah, it's completely different. And then they give you the option of getting an extra raise.
Mm-hmm. That didn't exist
prior to.
It didn't exist. All of a sudden now it's available. Now when I had asked for it, oh, we don't have funds for that right now. Or, oh, you have to wait for your review in 7 more months. Or what other ever excuse they gave you. And I have worked in HR in the past, so I've heard a lot of excuses why we can't even look at if we could really give you this raise. But as soon as you're ready to go and we calculate the cost of, hiring another person, training another person, the mistakes that they might make, because you already know how to do it. You've been doing it for a long time. We don't have to worry about your mistakes because you hardly ever make any mistakes. As soon as we get to calculating those numbers, and then that person's going to come in at a higher rate, because now when you came in, we only had to pay people $8 an hour, but now we got to pay people $12 an hour. And you're really only making $11 an hour because you don't know about the new restrictions and requirements that we're supposed to be paying everybody at least $12 an hour. But because you have the original pay, they don't do nothing for those people. Yeah. So you mean tell me we got to hire somebody, we got to train them, we have to mandatorily pay them more? Well, how about we just bump her up just a few more dollars, a few more cents, and see if she'll stay around instead?
Mm. And then they're looking at you. And it's one of the things that I often tell people is, look at the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Look at those numbers. They telling you that they're going to give you an extra quarter, an extra 50 cents. Okay. Out of that 50 cents, even if they give you $1, out of that dollar, how much of that is going to taxes?
Yeah.
That's about 30 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got an extra 70 cents.
Right.
How much of that is going towards health? How much of that is going towards insurances? How much?
Right.
Okay, so now we down to 50 cents.
And then does it put you in a new tax bracket that wipes the whole thing out?
That just takes the whole thing. That part is one that when I started telling people about that, they were like, no, but they're going to, it's going to raise me up to making this amount a year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But
Yeah.
you gotta understand the numbers. And I'm gonna tell you the realest conversation that I had with my children, and I've had some pretty real conversations. The realest conversation I had with them was when I decided that I was going to start moving towards leaving my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down with them and I gave them a slip of paper, and it showed them how much that I made for my company. And I think at that point it was like a little less than a year. And I said, I made them 6 figures. And my children looked at me and was like, whoa. I said, yeah, I made them 6 figures. And but I don't even get about 20% of what it is that I made.
Right.
And they were looking at me going, well, that's crazy. Because, they start doing calculations. They get into their Medea mind. They like, hold up, you do. And then you come in on your day off. And then call out, and you got to stay. And, and I said, I don't make 20% of that.
Right.
But if I make this for our family, for our business, for us, it stays with us.
Yeah.
And in that moment, we had a decision to make. Am I going to go ahead and keep trying to side hustle this business, or am I going to go ahead and go full on? And I said, well, if I go full on, it's going to have some rough patches. I'm going to tell you, we're not going to get at that 6 figures overnight.
Right.
It's just real. But if we hold on and we actually put in the work and we start making that for us, that's your college fund, that's your futures, that's your children's futures, that's things that we need, that's things that we want to do, that's places we want to go. That's what that is.
Right.
But only if we make this decision right now.
Yeah. And they supported you, I know. And they were mentally prepared to have the adult conversation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were all teenagers. So they were looking at me like, oh, okay, well, then, now, mind you, they weren't mentally prepared for the moments where it was going to get a little tight.
Right.
I don't think adults aren't prepared.
Adults, I was going to say no. Adults be like, what?
I can't get Chick-fil-A today.
Right.
Go on in this change drawer and see what I can.
But what you mean I can't get my hair done?
No, we got to do something different.
But I got this conference I need to go to. I can't go like this.
There you go, right? And they weren't really prepared for the moments where it had to be a little more tight. But wow, we were able to go back and say, no, this is what we said we were working towards. And I think when my youngest daughter was able to go to Greece earlier this year, they were looking and they were like, oh no, this is real.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
real. Okay, no. Okay, we got some moments where it's tight, but this is real.
Yeah.
She just
Yeah.
came back from Greece. Like that's real right there. Okay,
Right.
let's put in the
Right.
work. Let's figure this out.
Right. That's, yeah. See, and that's the thing. Like, it's crazy for me because now my kids are young, but I feel like we're leaning towards a family business now already. They have personalities. They've been seeing me do this their whole lives, literally. Their pictures are on the back of my books with me. You know, they've been seeing me talk. My son has gotten on stage while I was on stage, and like, unbeknown to me, I'll be talking, like I always tell my story, like why I started so my kids could be, have financial education, blah, blah, blah. I started when they was 1 and 2 and all that. And then my son comes on stage, like, I'm in the middle of teaching. And so instead of me being like, oh, what are you doing? Oh my God, get off stage. I'm like, what's your name? They tell a name. And I was like, I just start asking them random money questions. Like, what's insurance? Imagine a 4.5, 5-year-old being on stage telling you what insurance is, or what rent is, or where money goes. And really understanding the concept of it. You know what I mean? So now I feel like when I say it's a family business, because they've grown up with it, so it's normal and they're comfortable with it. So I can imagine by the time they're teenagers what they'll be doing with themselves. I have great hopes for them. I'm not going to force them into being authors or nothing, but I just have great hopes that they, hopefully what I'm teaching them now, there'll be some fruit on the tree.
Exactly. I look at mine now and I'm like, it's interesting because my oldest, so I have 4, and right now my oldest, my son, graduated this past school year, and then my next oldest is graduating this school year. And so, she's always, no, Mom, I'm not going to be a speaker, and that's your thing. And, you do really good at it, but that's just not my thing. And then senior year, what is her class that she's taking? Intro to public speaking. And she showed me her schedule, and I just went, mm-hmm. She said, don't say a word, Mom. Don't say a word. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. But I see them doing things that, from the perspective of a teenager, you wouldn't hear other teenagers say the things they say. And you wouldn't see them react in the way that they react. And just the fact that they're like most teenagers would not ask about being homeschooled. That's not
right.
really a teenager, I want to be homeschooled. That's not really
right.
something they would do. Because most teenagers want to go to a school. They want to be involved in, school.
Social lives.
But just listening to the things they say, I'm like, okay, all right, you did some good things there. You did, all right. I'm looking forward to some even greater things coming. Okay. All right, if this is teenage years, woo, what's going to happen in the 20s?
Right. I don't even want to think about that guy. Handsome boys. I don't even want to think about the 20s.
Right. I look at my son, I look at my girls, and I'm like, they making it through teen years without drinking, smoking, out here sleeping around and all it. I'm like, I'm just, thank you God for, that opportunity that they've had the right people speaking into them and speaking over them. And,
covering them.
Even though it hasn't always been the easiest, I'm beyond blessed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They crazy sometimes, but.
Oh God, I pray. I tell people I have a love-hate relationship with my kids I always love them. Sometimes they get on my nerves. And I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say that because my kids and me, I'm a single mom. I mean, I shouldn't say I'm proud of it, but I think I do a good job for where I am right now. And I think that single moms get a bad rep. But my kids know I love them because I tell them I love them every day. They get hugs from me. And they're doing good so far. I mean, they're still little, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to keep giving them love. And, every once in a while I have to go in the room and close my door. I don't really drink too many glasses of wine or nothing. But I do say praise Jesus every once in a while. I mean, I be like, Jesus. And my one son be like, Mama, why you calling Jesus? Because he's the reason. He's the reason you still standing right there staring at me. Trying not to give me a backhand like my mama used to do me.
Okay. I look at them and I'm like, man, oh man, the conversations we have. It's interesting because I look at them and I looked at my oldest daughter and I said, do you realize, I said, when you have children, I'm going to laugh at the experiences that you had. Because if they're anything like you, I'm just going to laugh. And she was like, Mom, what do you mean? I said, you're just, you pull things apart.
You'll see.
Like you just pull everything apart. You got to have the details of everything and wonder why it is, why it's me. And I said, man, I could see getting a call now that my grandkids have dismantled the TV because they wanted to see how it worked. And she said, Mom, they wouldn't do that. I said, okay. Okay.
Wow.
It sounds good, but okay, we'll see. So, oh my goodness, guys, this episode has been absolutely amazing. I'm sitting here like just, oh my goodness, humbled and appreciative of the opportunity to have Raeshal on. And man, guys, this is what it's about. It's about having real conversations about where it is you're trying to go, where you are right now, and where it is that you have been. Because if you don't have those real conversations, then you ended up on, somebody else's journey or, on a wrong path completely.
Right.
Completely. Right. So I do have to ask this question. I asked this before everyone leaves the episode has there been any blunders for you in this journey so far?
Blunders. You mean where I just wanted to quit and I couldn't stand what I did for a living? Can I say every 6 months? Okay.
No. Average about every 6 months. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a cycle. You have fall, winter, summer, spring, right? And then fall again. Okay. No. Okay. For real. I think for me, the biggest blunder was me letting other people tell me what my vision was and actually listening to them, because it took me off track of where I was going. And so then I had to circle back around. And I feel sometimes like I could have been a little further had I not listened to those people. And in some cases, those people weren't even qualified to have been giving me advice in the first place. So regardless of how old your baby is, your baby being your business, you should still always watch who's handling your baby. So it doesn't matter if it's an infancy stage and the only person who knows that you're pregnant or you're about to birth this baby is you and maybe one or two other people, then those are the people who are supposed to know. You know what I mean? Like, you still don't give your 5-year-old to a stranger. They still might have some harm for them. They still might be a kidnapper or whatever. It's the same with your business. You have to think about your business is always still going to be your baby. I mean, you don't like let your 15-year-old teenager go out the house and not at least say where you going and when you coming back. You know what I mean? So I think after a while, people are like, well, I've been in business for this long and I'm not where I want to be. Let me gather as much information as I can. And I found that when I was in that gathering stage, I was implementing, but what are some of the things I was implementing I shouldn't have been implementing? So I learned from that. And so I still feel like I always should have a coach, and I always do have a coach. And some of these people weren't coaches. They were just random people that seemed like they knew what they was talking about. But I filter information now better for what it is that I'm doing and what I need to do. And so I try to make sure that the people who handle my baby are ordained to handle my baby. Like they were put there by God. And they're another breadcrumb to my next piece.
That's so valuable though, because I think that's the biggest piece, is that we don't always research if this person is somebody that can handle our baby. Like if we were standing in a hospital and somebody walked in plain clothes and said that they wanted to deliver your child.
Right.
You want to deliver who child?
Right.
Not my child.
Exactly.
But, it's interesting because you have some that come in and they may have the right clothes on, but they still may not be.
Right.
Who is meant to deliver your child. They may only be an RN. They may only be somebody who's in one area.
Right.
So you got to be careful about it. And man.
Yeah. I actually was, I have like 2 or 3 other entrepreneurs that I talk to on a regular basis. I don't know if I'll call them accountability partners. I think they're just like-minded people, because not everybody understands the journey of being an entrepreneur.
Very true.
So I have, a few, and this one person and I, we was just having a conversation about this topic, because we were kind of joking about, we've been to conferences where we could teach the content that was taught, and then people pay a ton of money for that content. And we're like, but they didn't get no meat or potatoes. They barely got some green beans and a piece of bread. Like, and they didn't get no sweet tea. They just got water. Like, what is this? And it's like, these people are like, yeah, I can help your business make 6 figures. And then we were like, they're holding on to their tax returns like Donald Trump. Like, we don't know how much money they really make. You know what I mean? They're telling you they're millionaires or billionaires or 100 years or whatever. And you just was like, oh, okay, so you're qualified to handle my business because of your business. But then you find out their customer services suck, or they don't really know what they're talking about, or you find holes, or in your description this morning, you get the package in the box, but it ain't no instructions. So, okay, you gave me all these keys and all these pieces, but I don't know how to put it together. So it still doesn't help me. And so I've found that when sometimes you just have to slow down. Sometimes you just have to slow down so you can speed up. And stop trying to take the shortcut. Sorry, was that too long? That was my blender.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think you ended it on a perfect note. Sometimes you got to slow down in order to speed up and stop trying to take the shortcut. That's the biggest demise of the entrepreneur, is trying to take the shortcut, trying to make, be the overnight success.
Right.
Even though we know that that's not a reality, we still will put money into it. We still will put time and energy into it. And we come up for air and we haven't moved anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Oh my goodness, guys, this is an amazing episode. I need y'all to like listen to this on repeat because you definitely, had some nuggets in here that were going to move you, your business, your family, your relationships, everything forward when it comes to finances, because finances is definitely something that is weaved in between every single thing when it comes to our business and brand, our lives, our livelihood. Raeshal, tell them how they can get in contact with you, where they can get the books, all of that good stuff.
So you can get in contact with me at info@mylittlebanker.com. You can go to the website, mylittlebanker.com. I try to keep it simple. And the podcast is coming out November 30th, and you can go to mylittlebanker.com for that as well. So I keep it simple. Yes, I like people to be able to find me. All social media too, mylittlebanker.com. It's all My Little Banker.
You got to have that understanding. If you can, kiss it, keep
Yes.
it simple.
Yes. Yes.
Keep it simple. So, guys, this has been another episode of the Speakeasy Podcast. We went right in on this episode simply because, listen, the juice was falling, the juice was coming out, so we just had to go ahead and lay it up for you guys. But I want you to have the understanding that we always bring to you somebody that's going to inspire, educate, or empower you, simply because that's what we do here. That's what the Speakeasy Podcast is all about. But without the Speakeasy Podcast listeners, there would be no show. So we definitely appreciate you. Let us know over on Apple Podcasts how we did on this particular episode, bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast Show, all lowercase. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.